Right, we're recording. Perfect. Sound okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. All right, Christina. Well, thank you for agreeing to do this. And this is a Partner Enablement Masterclass session, also available in our published book and in our Thinkific course as well. So depending on where you're seeing, reading, hearing about this, the goal of today's session is to get a better understanding of when, why, and how of an LMS, a learning management system, for the purposes of enabling your new partners to commit referrals, commit revenue, share your program, get excited, and obviously progress through onboarding into your program faster. So the first thing I want to do, let Christina introduce herself and what Thinkific is if you're not familiar with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Christina. I'm a senior account executive at Thinkific. So basically, I work with companies that are evaluating how to deliver information to their partners. Thinkific makes that very easy. You might be watching this on Thinkific right now. Basically, we're a tool that allows you to create a linear learning pathway for your, we call them students, but in this case, it would be your partners and their employees potentially, and deliver them easily with tracking so you can understand if they're taking, enjoying, liking learning about your product.
Yeah, wonderful. Perfect intro. And, you know, this is the big question that we're going to answer is, well, when do you need an LMS versus what you have today? And all of our partner teams are using some level of document sharing. Obviously, I think that's table stakes. How do you get things like, you know, contracts and assets, white label this, presentation that, anything that your new partners need to go ahead and be partners, share your product, get the word out there, get to know your product, your actual software, all of that stuff. Table stakes is help desk. Google Docs, Get Guru is also in this program. We're recommending Get Guru for some of the document sharing. Notion is a big one too. A lot of our partner teams are using Notion, but very few have progressed fully to an LMS, the early stage programs that we work with. The larger programs out there that we're going to talk about today, obviously they have a robust learning management system, especially if you have a difficult to use software. So I'm going to try to follow the outline that we have, but I do want to ask you this. Is there sort of a litmus test to, am I qualified for an LMS that you like to review with your clients over the phone? Budget aside, I don't even want to talk about budget, but like, what should I be thinking about before I say, yes, I should use an LMS like Thinkific?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned scale, because it's not really about like when my clients come to me, they're usually already experiencing problems with scaling their partner program. So they've collected documents. They're trying to provide those documents and that documentation to their partners in a clear way. But as you grow and you get even more than like 5 partners, realistically, it becomes more and more difficult to manage. So that's where a learning management system comes in. Like I said in my intro, it's just like in order to provide like a clear linear learning pathway for your partners. So they're like, what do I need to know first? And then you can set up like what they need to do second, where they need to submit documents, all of that in one place. So if you're planning to grow your partner program to any size, really, that's where an LMS comes in.
Awesome. That's perfect. Okay, so the progressive learning of software of the partner program too. So the way I've seen it broken out, and we're going to talk about 3 main examples, including your own. The way I've seen it broken up is you have your training of the product itself, and then you have your training of how to educate your clients, or maybe new people that you don't call clients yet if you're an agency, on the product itself. So that's almost like your sales enablement content versus product training content. In either case, mainly in the product training, you have to check boxes. You have to know that your partner is ramped up and understands the product. without you and your team having to go in and actually test them on things and see what they know and what they don't know. You can use an LMS to make sure you're checking those boxes. So I think that's bare minimum for if you are a scaling SaaS company that has a partner program that does rely on, maybe not require, but rely on your partners having an extensive knowledge of the product to be called implementation certified, whatever that is. LMS is probably the only option. If you do not have a very heavy use case on a product side, your product's really easy to use. The LMS question will come with how much education and help do you want to provide your partners to sell and provide services on top of. So us at Partner Programs, as the example, we host content to help agencies understand how to sell services on top of our partners. That is in an LMS, right? So now that we understand what we're talking about, let's go into one of these three examples. We talked about Motrain, Procurify, Thinkific. Which one do you want to start with? Let's dive in.
Yeah, so Motrain, I mean, it's a great example. They have started using Thinkific for their partner education. They're a Thinkific partner as well. We have built out an app with Motrain. They actually just wrote a great blog article in terms of like why you should focus on partner training in the first place, how they've started to use Thinkific. It's pretty cool to see how they're evolving their program. It's Motrain specifically, they're in early stages now of using an LMS, but they've really, really embraced the value. Procurify is another great example. They actually started using Thinkific for employee training. That was their original use case. They then moved to customer training. We have a blog article on that as well, actually, if you're interested in learning more about how to use Thinkific for those use cases or an LMS in general for any of those use cases. But they've now, after developing their employee training, customer success, and then now they've actually moved on to using Thinkific for partner training as well, just because like none of those use cases when you develop material is wasted because your partners need a lot of that additional information. You can package courses together that are, mostly for like they're originally built for customer training. You can package them together for partner training as well, and then just add on and make it more specific for your partners.
I love it. I love it. And next question I have, if you're talking about partner enablement, we've got these 4 main reasons to do partner enablement in an LMS. Now, as I'm kind of thinking about it from a devil's advocate perspective, one of the main things is, will they actually engage with it? Will they do it? Now, I can force them to do it, or I can provide the content and make it optional. The force them to do it is where you have a certification. We're going to talk a little bit more about that soon. But what do you say to companies when they ask you, hey, they're a partner of ours? Why would they take their time to go into our LMS? Won't it kind of, make the relationship a little bit more obligatory, I guess is the term that comes to mind, if I have them do all this stuff? Versus in Notion and Guru, I would just give them access to a drive, which has everything, and they take it or leave it, do what they want. What do you say to those companies? And when you say, yeah, you're going to have to do it and they're going to love it because X, Y, and Z, what do you say to those kind of rebuttals?
Yeah, I say like it's about creating a community too around your product, like increasing that brand value. You're creating a conversation. It's important. Obviously, you can use these other tools to give your partners information, but in order to allow them to ask questions when they come to you and they say, hey, we're not selling this product line, or you recognize that there's you can actually go in and look and see that there's a lack of education there. And that's the reason why the revenue isn't coming in. So it just gives you more ability to track. It really strengthens your message, just creates brand consistency. You can educate all your partners with the same value proposition using your courses. And it allows other partners potentially to chat with each other. If you're working with large partners and they're geographically dispersed, again, just allows them to have one place where you can actually chat and create a conversation.
Yeah, and marketing will love that, and then the CEOs and the C-suite will love that, where you're actually engaging them with the purpose of strengthening your brand's message and consistency, having everybody speak the same language. That's why a lot of teams are using an LMS for internal training. That's why there's giant companies like Lessonly that really only does internal training, right? Because it's such a need. So if I'm a partner manager and I'm trying to make the case to sell this to my board as a part of my budget, or CEO, or maybe CRO, and it's, I think, what are your plans start at? It's $100 a month, something like that on average. But
I mean, even you can get started for free. Like
okay.
it's pretty flexible. And then it grows as you grow and you need those additional resources. Thinkific grows with you. I know there's other LMS systems on the market too. It's just like, it's about getting started.
Got it. So, okay. So we've sold ourselves on it. Now we got to sell the team on it. So let's talk about ROI of a program, right? Now the ROI of Thinkific is the same sort of conversation that you would have if you're a partner team and you need to prove ROI of the partner program in general. It's like, okay, well, how much activity is coming from partnerships on the revenue side? Well, how much faster is that coming before and after an LMS is implemented, right? So talk to me about, I'm using Guru right now and I've got document exchange going on, and then I get on webinars with my partners, right? So talk to me about some of the key points to know, which are, ramp time to set up, how much goes into it. If I'm setting up, speak towards an accreditation using Thinkific, anything I should know in this whole journey of what is going to happen, what are some key things that I should know, and when do I speak towards ROI, and how do I speak towards ROI internally from an LMS?
Yeah, very good question. Just to, first of all, in terms of like ramp up time, as I said, you can start small. For companies that we've worked with in the past that are building out a full-on partner program or customer education like database, I've seen it done by a team of one in 60 days. That's actually our average time to implementation, and building out the courses included is a 60-day timeline. So not very achievable there. In terms of, we've already talked a little bit about budget, like Thinkific starts at free. And yeah, on average plan is $99 a month. It does scale up depending on how many partners that you're looking to reach, but that's where the ROI comes in, because what an LMS allows you to do that's different than like providing Guru or Google Docs, which are great options too. Like Thinkific, we use both Thinkific for our onboarding training and Guru. But what you can do with an LMS is you can keep tabs on enrollment, completion, and certifications, and then you can connect those numbers back to your sales metrics. So you can then determine like conclusively through actual metrics if your program is positively impacting your business. So that's where it really comes in terms of like, you can see who's taking your courses, you can see who's most engaged, you can understand if you need to reach out to a certain team more, you're not seeing results, and you can tie those back to your business.
I love that. Like lead scoring based on completion of courses or how much of the course is completed. You can get those events and pass those back to your PRM and report on, oh, by the way, these partners that are contributing the most revenue have completed the most LMS courses, right? Or LMS classes.
Exactly.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about what I do with the LMS specifically. So I've sold myself on it. I've sold my team on it. I've wrapped my head around why I'm going to do it. Now the what. What do I do with the LMS? So let's talk through a progression of, first, I don't have an accreditation. What am I going to do with it if I'm not trying to accredit? And then I want to go a little deeper into accreditation. So let's talk about a use case or a case study or, a client user that has a really awesome setup. What's involved in their setup? How much content is in there and why? And then let's talk about certifications after that?
Yeah, awesome. A great example of that is Procurify. Actually, they set up their Procurify University. It's all internal, like they don't charge for any of their courses. We have an e-commerce function, but that's not what they use. And they've just made it very attainable, just really like what Thinkific is about. And most LMSs in terms of best practices nowadays is more about like micro learning, providing small chunks of information so people can absorb it easily. So when it's feeling overwhelming, oh, I've got to create all this content for these courses, it's not really. Like a lot of my clients point a phone at themselves and chat into it. They get feedback, understand how that's received, and then they iterate upon the content, make it better. It's not about having this perfect product at the beginning. It's about getting the information out there and getting the feedback from your partners. So for that kind of initial, just providing information in that clear linear learning pathway, it's really just about starting small chunks, using a mix of content like short videos, text, PDFs, downloads, quizzes, just quizzes for reinforcing learning. It's not about achieving something. It's just about making sure people are paying attention. And then as they go through, they absorb and learn. And then certifications, of course, is just making that a little bit more formalized.
I love it. Okay. And I'm looking at the article when you guys released your certifications, or this one's actually a pretty old one, but you guys have had certifications for a while, but wasn't there a new update to certs that happened fairly recently? Something changed, right?
Yeah, we brought it in-house actually, though we worked with Credible, we've worked with other companies to provide certifications. Those integrate with Thinkific, so depending on what you'd like to use, but Thinkific actually provides certifications natively in our platform. You can brand the certificates for your particular use case. Hootesuite is one of our partners. They use Thinkific for employee, customer, and partner training as well. And a big part of what they do is they've educated over 500,000 students just generally, but they also highlight the number of certificates they've provided, which I think is pushing 100,000 now. So people can actually share those and be Hootesuite certified on their social media profiles.
Is that education.hootesuite.com?
Education.hootesuite.com. Yeah, that site's built on Thinkific.
I'm looking at it now. And this is something I would like your opinion on. We talk about ROI, and I just got off of a call with Corey Snyder, who runs Maropost now. He was formerly ActiveCampaign, but he did certification paid at Infusionsoft, built that certification out, big one. Then he did a free certification or another paid one, I think, and a free at ActiveCampaign. Now he's at Maropost, and he's deciding to do a free one, but it's going to be super heavy, super in depth. It's free, but you've really got to work to get the certification. So talk to me about any experience you have with clients who are asking you, should we make this a paid certification? Should we make it free? What are the pros and cons? What do you say when someone asks you those types of questions?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's funny because Infusionsoft and ActiveCampaign are both our partners, and they both use Thinkific too for their programs. Maybe that's a direction he'll go in the future too. But yeah, so what I've seen is a lot of my clients offer free courses, free certifications. I mean, the struggle with online courses is always those getting completions, keeping people engaged and having them have something to work towards, which is where certifications come in and can be really valuable. What Hootesuite did is kind of a meld of the two options. They actually made their information free for their platform training. And then they actually have a paid so you can like pay for the certification once you've been through the course. So that's—
Wait, talk me through that progression here. Let's talk about that. That's a super interesting one, and I love actionable stuff. So I define what that is and how it's set up for me one more time. And what is it called? What would we call that? Where it's a progression from, hey, you're going to take this course and then it's going to be free. How does that?
Yeah, it's still an enrollment in a course. So when you access that certification training, you sign up, you provide your information to Hootesuite. In this case, they have single sign-on too. So if you already have an account, you can be automatically enrolled. But as you go through the learning, all of that is available. You can actually go to education.hootesuite.com and sign up for it. It's free. And then at the end of the course, once you've been through the material, it gives you a pop-up option. Would you like to get your certification? If you do, there's a charge. So I think it's $99 in that case to get your certification that you can then share on your social media profiles to verify your Hootesuite certified. But yeah, it's a good mix.
Well, this is interesting because I'm looking at it now, and I feel like, with the ROI conversation, if I really just wanted to push the sale of like, hey, we need this, don't even ask me about costs. We're going to make a paid program. And, if we enroll 12 people this year, it'll pay for itself, right? That's one reason to do this. But talk to me about the mentality of, I'm going to offer, and I'm not showing it on my screen. This is going to be audio and text only, but I'm going to include a link, and it's education.hootesuite.com/courses/platform-cert. And it says Hootsuite is trusted by 16 million users, a little blurb there. With Hootsuite platform certification course, you'll develop skills to use core Hootsuite products to their full potential, boosting the impact of your social media efforts, driving results, and providing your ROI. So they're selling you on, okay, well, what am I learning for free versus the paid side? What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, what they've done is pretty interesting because they actually started having much more of their content free and having it just be a value add. As time has gone on and they've really established their program, and like they've made this kind of a lead generation tool for their team and a revenue generation tool for Hootsuite, because they've, as I said before, they've iterated and really created a lot of value with their content. So what I think where they saw the division, they actually have quite a few just paid courses, and they're becoming higher value paid courses. It's really cool what they've done, the success they've seen. They've kind of made that division internally, I think, because their core value add is just their core goal with this is to provide training on their platform. They want everybody to be able to access that. But there's been a lot of value that they've seen with being Hootsuite certified as they've made themselves leaders in this space, much more than like their platform certification. They've actually just established themselves as leaders in the social media and marketing space with their courses that aren't even specifically related to Hootsuite as a platform. So that's where like the lead generation and revenue have come in, and just making them a leader. Like we say, these are best practices and you can be certified in them and then share that you are, and it'll help you get a job. So that's like, they started with a team of 6 with mostly free training. And now they've educated over 500,000 students. They're leaders in the social media and marketing space, and people are paying very good money to take their courses and share Hootsuite's name as experts in social media and marketing.
Yeah, it's compelling because obviously it requires a little bit of, hey, this is demanded. There are people looking for certified Hootsuite partners, or at least they're looking for someone that knows the platform and can show that they know it. So if I took the course and I've got a bunch of clients, I don't really need more clients. I just need to know how to serve them better. I'm going to enroll in the course. I'm not going to pay for the certification. And I'm looking at the progression here, the curriculum, and it says chapter 1, chapter 2. This is all free. And this is optional, Hootsuite platform certification exam. So is it just an exam to review everything that you've learned and say, hey, I know that? Or is it, is there a little bit more content before I take the exam?
No, from what I understand, it's just the exam. Like you consume the content and then you take the exam. And then if you want to learn further, you can take their other courses and they push those out as well.
Oh, I love it. Okay. And this is interesting. I'm probably going to publish this as a podcast as well, because I didn't realize that we were going to talk about some of the things that are super important for just the certification side, just knowing how to structure and what to do. So, okay. So if we bring it back to I'm at, level 2 and Hootesuite's at a level 10, right? And I want to gain more buy-in for my partner program, yes, but also for the product itself, right? Talk to me about just the simple brand value from a marketing standpoint of having an LMS training certification program. What does it mean for some of the early stage companies that say, I'm going to quickly get ramped up on an LMS, publish that out to all of our users as a certification, get that in the hands of my partner teams to have a partnership certification as well on top of the product certification, and then just use it maybe as a more of an SEO demand generation, just look bigger than we are. It could just be as simple as that. What's relevant there?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And honestly, I actually do talk to partners pretty frequently. And sometimes they'll book calls with me, like they'll come and they'll join Thinkific, and then they'll be like, okay, like I'm so excited. Where do I start? And just having an area to just guide them to and be like, okay, look, like this is like step 1, step 2, step 3, get familiar with the tool, take our partner certification. It reassures them they're in the right place. It makes them brand advocates because they're like, these guys have got their shit together. It's just like, it's very compelling as a brand story of just like, we've got you. Not only are we going to support you with our excellent product, but we're also going to support you at every step along the journey. And yeah, for SEO as well, a great additional tool longer term to establish yourselves as leaders in your space.
Yeah, it's just another domain that has a ton of actionable resources. And honestly, yeah, it does make you just look more official and just more put together as a product, I think. I mean, we launched our Thinkific account very early on, and we definitely went through some hurdles of like what to put there and why are we doing this. And, at first it was a tough thing to think of, well, is this going to be something that's worth our time? But we've over 12 months, because we didn't have the help of Christina, we didn't reach out to her. Unfortunately, we should have. We were kind of doing it on our own, and it was just very ad hoc. It was busy times. But what we quickly learned is like, okay, well, if we have a progressive training system, not only can we start building value and getting closer to our brand, meaning, hey, you could pay us money to promote your partner program and pay us money to just help you on a one-to-one basis. But if we take all that content that we're recording with these partners and we have these AMA sessions and these roundtables, what if we record that? What if we put that into a partner program accelerator, is what we called ours? Oh, and then that's a big generic course. It's kind of everything. It's a lot. What if we whittled that down and we turned it into a masterclass? We just had a very succinct niche masterclass on partner enablement. That's going to go into the Thinkific school as well. And the one error that I had, I launched all of these courses for all of our partners in our Thinkific account early on for our agency partners. And I did not even think about certifications at the time, right? And going back, I mean, I would have had a test at the end and a certification I wouldn't have charged because that's not our business model, but I would have had that. So I just launched our accelerator. I did add the certification, but I still haven't added the quiz. Talk to me about the importance of the quiz at the end. I know that they've gone through it. I know that they've watched it, or at least they had it on. Talk to me about the importance of the quiz, both from just verifying their understanding, but also instilling that level of like, yay, I did it,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really about learning checks. Like our quizzes, it is just like multiple choice, true and false. It's not complicated to set up. I mean, you can make it more formal. You can randomize the quiz bank and make it like more of a proper exam, but it's really about just making sure like for you that the student, that you are engaging the student, but also that the student knows that they're on track. If they get it wrong, they can go back, they can learn more. If they get it right, they feel that sense of accomplishment. It's really like when I take an online course as well, it's about going through and just being able to check off the boxes, and feel like you did something. And then you get that certificate at the end, you can share it. It's about like that little journey, and giving people a deliverable.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's where I messed up on this last one. So next one, I'm going to add a quiz. I can also go retroactive and add a quiz now, I guess. That would be ideal. So as soon as I carve out some time, my next task is to add a quiz. Last question for you. In that quiz, do you recommend anything, best practices on the quiz itself, or are there some resources that we can look at to say, how do I formalize a good quiz that honestly, you know, we want to know that they know it, but we don't want to bug them about it, honestly. Like, we want to just check some boxes, but we don't want to go have them jump through hoops and have to go back 12 sessions and pull up a video and fast forward and try to figure things out. You know, talk to me about the best practices for quiz setup.
Yeah, great question. So what I often see, I mean, the quiz at the end to like get the certificate is great, but even just having quizzes interspersed throughout chapters, like 1 or 2 questions at the end of a chapter, just to say, hey, did you understand those 5 concepts? And then at the end of the course, you can pull from those previous quizzes and fill in the gaps, make sure they understood everything that they were going through. And yeah, that would be what I would recommend. And that's what I've seen work really, really well for our clients who use Thinkific for both just informal learning and for like continuing education certification. Honestly, it just seems like it's best practice.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's everything that we had in store for today, and a little bit that we didn't have in store, which is great. So I'm going to let you go unless there's something specific that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit on.
I think we basically covered it. I mean, I would say the number one thing is just to get started. Like you were talking about, you had generated all this content. An LMS gives you the place to put it and organize it. It helps, it gives you the structure. So it's easy to organize too. There's not a big barrier to getting started. Take your current content, repackage it. You have your first course, and then you can get feedback and improve from there.
And I look at it like an actionable blog. I mean, don't think about it like, oh, I've got to charge people for this course and make a business out of it. I look at it like at the very brass tacks, it's like you're going to take the content that you recorded over a webinar. You've got a partner webinar. It's going to repeat. Yes, people are going to miss it. You know, people are going to no show. Then you have your partner enablement calls with these partners. You can record those. Then you have your very actionable strategic articles of like, hey, here's how to do this in our partner program. It could just be, here's how to submit a referral. You know, here's how to just onboard into this part of our partner program and how to use that over there. Those all should be a part of your partner onboarding process, but they can all be consolidated into one area, which some people are just using Notion, Guru, or Docs. And what we're talking about today is pull that out, package it up in a progressive learning fashion. You don't have to make anything required. You can just put it in there. But I think, especially if you're onboarding partners using an LMS, make it required, make sure that they did that, they tested that, they signed up for that, they signed that agreement, and put it into your LMS. And then, hey, you've got an LMS now. Why not use that LMS to do a certification, to do X, Y, Z, you know, and keep it going. So I'm loving it. And you guys just raised a ton of money, so you're not going anywhere. So definitely check out thinkific.com and get started on a free account, and then sell your whoever on upgrading and get some stuff going. I love it. Thank you, Christina, for the time. I'll let you go back to whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day. And I hope everyone enjoyed this discussion. Thank you.